Hello and welcome to another video for Tak Strategy. I'm Ben, and in this video I'm going to be covering some of the basic strategic concepts that will help you in playing Tak in having a better success against someone who's really competing for squares with you. So the central concept that I am going to be looking at in this video, let me throw some pieces on the board here. So as we start, obviously player 1 plays one of player 2's pieces, player 2 plays one of player 1's pieces. Now, bear with me, this is the first time using this tool in a video. So what I'm going to be looking at here is what I'm going to be referring to as influence. And this is something that's been suggested on the Tak subreddit. You may have also heard it referred to as concentration, the piece concentration, or threats, or things like that. But I like the term influence. I think it is a very succinct one-word way to describe basically the squares which your pieces are trying to exert control over. So in this case here, we've got two pieces on the board. And this arrangement here is actually a good demonstration of one of the things I think about the opening. The opening is still debated. So in this case, we have the dark piece here. And this piece, just by virtue of the squares it's able to move to, is exerting influence over these squares. Basically meaning that if white were to place a piece there, black would be able to move on top of there and maintain control of that square. Now, obviously, he can't maintain control of all of them, but he can maintain control of any one of them. Now, the initial white piece here placed in the corner, you can see only is maintaining influence over this square and this square. So this is why I think a good number of people prefer placing their opponent's piece in a corner. That when they're in the corner, the amount of influence that piece is exerting on the board is less than in any other location. If in this situation, say white gets to go now, so white throws a piece, let's say here. So we're on an edge, not in a corner. Now here you can see the influence is still 3 squares instead of the 2, so that's still pretty good. Now in this situation, what most often will happen is each player, now white's got not a very good starting coordination of his pieces there, but so, oops, excuse me, black here will probably be going to just build a road. Just, hey, let's go straight in. No waiting or anything. Now these pieces support each other because each is exerting influence over the other. That both ways they're protecting each other. That just makes them a bit stronger there. So white will come along here, do this. Now here, because of this arrangement, black is actually completely safe in throwing a piece here. Now, this is where the influence starts to become important. The influence not only tells us what squares we're kind of exerting control over, but also who's going to win in a trade. In this situation, black is exerting influence in this direction here, and of course, all the way along the sides. White is also exerting influence back onto this piece, onto this square. So that one is contested at the moment, and on this square. So what that means is that because they're exerting influence back against each other, that you could potentially have a competition here to see who's going to win if we're going to trade. Now, in this situation, since they both have the same amount of influence, it's basically going to go to whoever moves second. If black moves a piece here, then white has a piece supporting this one, exerting influence, can just move there, back on top of the stack. Nobody wins. Likewise for white, white moves there, black moves there, black stays on top. So what mostly we're going to see is that no one's going to trade. They're not going to trade here. They're going to keep placing pieces here. So white says, all right, I'm going to keep going for my road in this direction. I'm also supporting this piece with this move. So now here, this piece, there's no chance. Black can't take that and maintain control of the resulting stack. So black's probably going to say, well, I can't let him go for that road there. I'm going to come along here. Now we're getting kind of just a line here of where we're building a wall between each other. Not a literal wall piece, but a wall where they're exerting influence back and forth. And eventually that will come to a head probably right around here, because black can no longer just allow this to continue. And this will continue onward. So, you know, black will move here. White will probably say something. In this case, like, say, that's a good move because now white's exerting influence in 2 directions over this corner square. So if black doesn't do something, say if black makes a dumb move like this, white wins because white has this piece here that they can move on top. You got to watch out for that influence when you're making a move. But so ideally, black would do something like he would actually have, instead of doing this dumb move of placing this piece down, he would move one of these over this way, or even move this one up here. Obviously, this one can't move here because you leave the square empty, but you get the idea. So let me go ahead and reload here, and I want to talk specifically about how influence can get a little more complicated. So we've got our initial pieces. Let's start with black here. All right. Black piece, yay, whatever. He's got his influence of all these squares around him. You know, no competition. Great. So now white's turn. White's going to come in here. What if white does this? Well, obviously, black can't maintain influence over this wall square with the flat piece. So this is very much a case of white's going to win this influence. Unless black brings a cap into play, which of course is what I am demonstrating here. So in that case, so black brings his capstone in. So there you have essentially the tiers of influence that the wall piece or standing stone will win influence over a flat stone, and the capstone, of course, will win an influence over everybody. No one's going to be able to top him. That's as a virtue of the rules. Now, the other place where this influence idea gets tricky is, let's see, we're going to make a stack. That's what we're going to do. Hold on, if I get my cursor back. All right. So, let's say we do this situation, we do this situation, white moves on top. So now, we've got something like this. Now, in this stack, you might be wondering how that influence works. Well, because of the order of pieces, this gets kind of complex here. Because of the order of pieces on this stack, even though he has 2 pieces, he is not actually exerting any influence over this square. Because, let me just throw a black move in here. So if he tries to move 2 squares, he'll have to drop that black piece there, and then the white one on the top will move here. So we'll do like that and like that. But now, what has white done? White has gone and gotten himself. He's left a black piece with influence over the stack he's just captured. That's one thing to watch out when moving stacks. You don't want to leave, as part of your stack move, you don't want to leave an opponent's piece right next to the stack that you're ultimately trying to maintain control of. So in this case, you've just left the black player with the influence to go and capture that. Of course, with the wall piece, white always can get it back, but that's less than ideal to have to use your wall on top of a stack. You're not going to be able to really extend that to make a road. So you got to watch out for the influence on stacks in that manner. So let's go ahead and let's kind of build a little bit of a typical. All right, so this, something along these lines, what I would consider to be kind of a typical set of moves that might end up in a game. You've got black trying to threaten the center square, white supporting it. Now in this case, you can see black's got 2 pieces threatening it, and white has 2 pieces supporting it. When you have an equal number of pieces as the opponent threatening or exerting influence, rather, over a square, like in this case, these 2 exerting influence over this, and these 2 also exerting influence there, the control will be maintained by the player who has the color of their stone here. So like in this case here, if white, oops, sorry, we're on black's turn. Let me just throw a couple of bad moves in for black. There, sure. Now in this case, similar thing going on, except for in this case, black has the stone in the center. So if white, let's see here. So if white just does something dumb, right? No, we're on black's move. Sorry. So if white wants to capture here, if he goes first, black's going to cap, and then black recaptures. So you can see here we've got black on the bottom, black comes out on top. Opposite would occur here with the white squares. Now this stack, this gets extremely interesting as far as influence goes, because there are 3 black pieces in there. So that means several things. It means that this stack is exerting influence over 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Those squares, all of those squares. Even more interestingly, that stack can stretch out to reach to here with the top one. So this is exerting an influence of 1 piece on this last square. Now you could move here and leave 2 dark pieces and only move the top one to here, leaving 2 dark pieces in this stack and 1 here. So this square is controlled, but it's also has, let's see, so you could do 1, 2. Depending on how you extend this stack, you could actually exert an influence of up to 3 on this square right at this moment. And actually, to be fair, that means that depending on your stack move, you could also exert an influence of 2 on this far stack here. But it depends on subsequent moves somewhat. And of course, this position as well also would be influence of 3. So you can kind of get an idea. I mean, this is getting much more into advanced concepts, but you get an idea how the idea of the influence is going to matter. So let me see if I can just give a quick example of, so let's say I want to show how you can exert an influence of 3 on this square here. So we'll throw a white one down there, and I say, no, I want that one. So I'm going to pick up, I'm going to drop here, and there, and there. Now white's going to say, no, I want control. Black says, hey, no, I still want control here. So that's 2. White's going to try to cap back, and as you can see, black is still left with the last piece adjacent here. So with that one stack, they were able to overpower the 2 adjacent pieces and the original light piece that was on this square. So that stack with 3 dark pieces in it exerts more influence over a square 2 squares away than 2 adjacent pieces, even though white started with their own color piece on this color square. So a stack with 3 in it obviously exerts more than having 2 adjacent to the stack. So basically, so if you had, if you're trying to capture this square, say we got a piece there, having 3 pieces 2 squares away exerts more influence than having 2 pieces adjacent. So that's just one of the many things to keep in mind. And as I said, this is getting moderately advanced. Oh, I just moved that white one. But white is fairly in trouble now, I would say. Black's doing pretty well there, although it is going to be difficult. These stacks are very soft, as they say, with a lot of the white pieces in it. But that's just me rattling off some of the very basic ideas about influence, how to account for them in a game of tack. You need to watch out for stacks. You need to pay attention to how many pieces of each color are in the stacks. And you need to make sure that you are both supporting and attacking pieces with every move. So one real quick last example here of just, say, a normal game. Very common starting locations here would be something along these lines. White's going to angle in. Black will probably also angle in. And in this case, white's going to go this way, avoid black altogether. Now here, black's going to have a problem if they don't challenge white. So we're going to try to exert influence over some of the squares here where white's trying to build. So let's say black goes there. That's an option. Over here is an option to this particular battle. There's a lot of options here because it wouldn't be great for white to start trying to capture yet. So white's going to come in and say, hey, I've got support here. I can move there, no problem. Threaten your piece at the same time. So black supports. Now we're getting into trouble here. White's threatening a win. We've got 2 possible locations for a win, so black has to start moving, has to capture. So pretty much either one of these like this. You see, we're going to have some trades of influence probably along these lines. In this case, I find that I play I call it like the knife's edge, where, as black especially, where I am just barely barely keeping the other person from winning. So he will go like this. I'll go like that. I'm gonna have to go like that. And then here we do this. All right, so we've backed it off to 2 moves away from winning, but the problem is he's got the stack here, so I can't block with a normal piece here. So black. I'm pretending I'm black in this case. I'm probably actually gonna have to use either. That's not where I wanted to go. Gotta be careful with this interface. If that circle is on the board, your piece is gonna land there. So we'll just pretend that move never happened. Move there. All right. This is probably a case where black could throw a capstone. That would be helpful. This is going to be difficult for black, though. And it's because white got to go by without much of a challenge from black's influence. Black's got wasted pieces over here that aren't contesting the same squares that white's after. I'll probably do another video on stuff like this because influence, I think, is going to become a very central concept to how TAC is played and really the way to evaluate a particular board position. Now, I'm hoping to get a lot more of the guys from the TAC subreddit. In a future video, perhaps I'll be able to have some discussion with them on video because I really would love to hear what everybody thinks and actually try to put some of these concepts through their paces. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you on playtac.com, where I have been doing all of my piece movement here. I am using a separate branch, so I've gotten some nice pretty graphical options. I consider this to be probably the most visually pleasing for me, as well as most readable board, so that I can at a glance see what's going on. But yeah, definitely join me and many others on playtac.com. Play us some games. We're happy to help answer questions. And of course, keep an eye out. The TAC Kickstarter will be starting tomorrow. That will be April 19th, 2016, and running through May. So you'll be able to pick up your very own physical TAC set. Very exciting. And I will hope I'm going to be grabbing my own set from there as well. Thanks, everybody. I will see you next time.